So, because obviously everybody would, I suppose, most people would agree that we need to talk together and we need to listen to each other. We need to settle the conflicts that are killing people in various regions, as you pointed out. What I'm also trying to look at is when, from a European perspective at least, when I think many Europeans and perhaps even European governments look at the current American president saying that kind of, and you may not like that word, but the kind of cynicism or realism, whatever you want to call it, is somehow dangerous, that engaging with countries that you do not share values with to the degree that you don't have one-to-one the same values, but still that there is some sort of respect for human rights or democratic aspirations or whatever that might be. That kind of cynicism is too much. It's not helping. So what I'm asking you is that, are you saying that, well, put that aside a bit and look at it, it is really doing a progress, it is helping?
Well, this time the reason you see me smiling is I'm thinking as a country, a democracy, who were invaded by a military dictatorship to my west, which was supported for multiple decades by European countries, Western Bloc as a whole. So I reflect on it again. Purpose of that is not to say bad things happen to us and that therefore justifies it happening elsewhere, but to say that look, in some ways, that's why I use the word realism. Countries or groupings cannot say that we will only do business with people who are like us. If that is the case, why is Europe even present in many parts of Asia? Surely the places where Europe has the most business are not societies and polities which are similar to Europe. But Europe has no problem doing that. So often the very values which are so important to you closer to home, and I understand that, apparently don't or matter less the farther you leave your shores and go out. So the standards applied to doing business or engaging other countries in Asia is different from, or I could argue in Africa, is different from what you would yourself apply in your close proximity. So which is why, I'm not saying values, I do appreciate values do matter, because all of us, if we have a belief and a way of thinking and behaving at home, it's natural human trait to want to do it abroad. So I would relate, say, to you as a person from a democratic polity in a way in which I would not to someone who's not from a democratic society. You would intuitively understand, let us say, the pluralism, the diversity of our views, the fact that in many cases I would say, we can't do this because that's not allowed, or the parliament has to decide, or there are laws or rules. So our instinctive responses and thought processes, the algorithms would be very different, and we would relate to each other. But I would say, again, I come back to that point, therefore, that some of the changes that await, one part of what Europe is going through is, I know you're in the mid, or you started a big rearming program. Okay, there's a big security emphasis. I know that we had the European commissioners, over 21 of them, led by President von der Leyen. And we know that now there's a much greater desire to engage with India and do more, do the free trade agreement. But I think one other dimension of it is really to understand the world with all its shortcomings, with all its differences, with the fact that many parts of the world think and behave and believe differently from you, and find common ground. That you cannot have a view, I will only work with people who are exactly like me or agree with me. We have to work with people who sometimes we don't entirely agree with. That's why people like me have this job.
Mr. Jaishankar, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be here and on the program and give us your perspective and India's perspective on the New World Order that we're also concerned about and thinking about. So thank you very much for that. Appreciate it.
Great pleasure.